My name is Imran Hussain. I am the Director of Global Marketing Strategy and Programs at Insightec. Insightec is a medical device company. We specialize in developing the MR-guided focused ultrasound platform, which is an innovative technology that uses sound waves to target and areas of the brain in order for therapeutic treatment. So for example, one of the areas that we're FDA cleared for is the treatment of essential tremor and Parkinson's disease, where our technology combined with the MR provides real-time feedback and treatment of those diseases as an alternative therapy to medication or deep brain stimulation or other therapeutic interventions. The benefit of what we do is it's a non-invasive procedure. It happens within literally within a matter of a few hours, and the patient is able to go home. And during the procedure, the physician and the patient are actually able to do real-time feedback, so they're able to see the results right away before anything with the procedure is
amazing. I think I've seen a few videos and you can sort of see the effects happening, which is amazing because obviously it's such a debilitating effect of a disease. Now, I'd be interested to know where you started in marketing and sort of what sparked your interest in becoming a marketer.
So the start of my career actually started in the consulting world. Was in technology consulting, then transitioned more into business strategy and more of a business transformation consultant role. That then led into my work within the medical device industry as I was recruited by one of my former managing partners to help start a new medical device company. So at that point, a lot of my career in the consulting world was really around market development, looking at areas of expansion, and looking at ways that they can actually optimize or implement new business processes in order to catapult into new markets or territories. So, a good portion of my career has always been around market development and looking at areas of expansion. And that's where I came on board originally as the first marketing hire for this medical device company in order to actually help build it from the ground up. Worked with them for roughly around 7 years, eventually, becoming the global director of marketing, and really focused my attention on our international expansion towards the end of the career with helping to identify and establish licensing and distribution deals in foreign markets. Mostly we're looking at EMEA, South America, and a few of the countries within the Asia Pacific region, as well as ensuring that we had a consistent brand communication strategy that spanned globally, not just internally within the company, but also through our partners that we had relationships with as well too. And in terms of all of our product launches that we did, we had multiple disposable products that we would launch in different areas of the country. So it was a complex portfolio of products, kind of all related within the neuroscience space, but we did very well. So I was really happy with the progress, and it was one of those things that we had an exit, and then I took an opportunity to actually join a company called Elekta, which is a oncology company, helping to oversee their North America business marketing unit, specifically within neuroscience, and really worked their new product launches of their 3 next generation products, like their flagship products within the neuroscience field. So spent a couple of years there, and then that's when I was actually recruited by Insightec to come on board because of the similarities between the therapies that I was working with and the platform that Insightec had developed and was ready for a commercial launch in the US. I came on board as the head of marketing for North and South America and assisted with launching the products, but as well as building our commercial communication and strategy plan. So that really meant, how do we actually engage and build relationships with healthcare professionals, but also how do we actually get in front of the patient community, because this is a large underserved patient population. If you think of people with essential tremor in the United States alone, there's roughly 10 million people that have essential tremor, and only a small fraction of those actually seek therapeutic treatment. First line is always therapy, but medications always, become refractory at some point, or they lessen in their effectiveness, and then they start looking at other options. And so this was really, our therapy was an option that was extremely attractive to patients for a multitude of reasons. The fact that it was non-invasive, there wasn't a heavy surgery involved in it. They would be able to see relief during the procedure and then right after the procedure, and it had durability. Where we've been able to show that over our latest data show 5-year data, but it shows that we're maintaining effective tremor relief. So this is really about quality of life improvement, giving the patients back their lives, because they become extremely self-conscious, isolated even, and not wanting to do anything because, for most people, if they see a person's hand shaking like this, or they can't eat, they don't want to interact. And so this was something that really gave someone's life back. And so it's one of the few instances when you work in the medical device industry that you're able to be part of building something. One is a completely new thing. It's a new area of therapy with, focused ultrasound, but it's something that has an immediate impact, not just on the patient, but their family, caregivers. You see, I see physicians crying after procedures, because of the impact.
It's such an immediate relief. And, obviously not as simple, but as I'm sure it is, it's very technical to do, but in a couple of hours and non-invasive, that you can see such an effect on someone is amazing. So it sounds like you've done great things there. So I guess looking forward to 2025, because we're still in January, what is your current focus when it comes to marketing, I guess, in your role when we're looking at strategy for 2025? Obviously, you're trying to get in front of patients as well as businesses. So what is your strategy for 2025?
Yeah. Well, looking at areas that we can improve, our current business as well. So with that, how do we actually interact with the patient population better? How do we bring more awareness to this? What new type of campaigns can we develop that become more effective in that sense? And then also with our healthcare professionals, we look at this across the board, not just getting the scientific data in front of healthcare professionals and executives at various hospitals in that sense in order to help with the decision process. But then how do we actually build these KOL relationships and grow new ones as well? So that way, when you look at where focused ultrasound is in terms of as a medical field, it's still in its infancy in a lot of ways, regardless of, the application of the therapy. So we are really building a new field of medicine. And, as we go step by step. And so that's part of what I'm looking at is how, creating the foundations, and then how do we build and grow upon those foundations, not just to create a viable physician community, but also a viable patient community as well.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges you face when trying to execute, building those relationships and putting it in front of patients and healthcare workers? When you are looking at, the marketing strategy, what's the biggest challenge that you've come up with or you're facing this year?
In all honesty, there are two things that become the biggest challenges. One is data, ensuring that we have the right type of data that's able to tell the right story and is able to be effective in how we use it. So in terms of presentations, in terms of content, in terms of business case development, data is vital. And so looking for reliable data sources, understanding, having the right analytical team that's able to pull the insights from the data and apply those into real world situations. That is extremely vital. In terms of content, we always have to look at how are we adapting content? How are we becoming smarter with our content, but also not just becoming more efficient in how we produce it, but also more efficient in how it relates to various customers or stakeholders. And so that spans the board, whether it's a B2B scenario or a B2C scenario when we're talking about our patients in that sort of sense.
Amazing. So I guess it's obviously quite a niche field that you're in. I'd be interested to know, and how do you sort of differentiate from a competitor? Do you sort of have, I guess, monopoly on the space, or how are you using marketing against a competitor or a similar company if there isn't a direct competitor?
So right now we do not have a similar company that does what our technology platform does. There are other companies that offer alternative therapies, surgical intervention therapies, where we would be classified in. The reality of it is the way that I view this is it's not necessarily competition. The way that we view this is providing the patient with the options that are best suited for them, that the patient and their healthcare professional make the right decision. And that's really how we have viewed like this entire, not just the patient journey, but the physician journey in what we present and how we present this. And it's also, I believe, very similar to how, I guess, quote unquote, what our competitors would do. So when we take a look at the alternative therapies, we actually do a lot of joint work with them in terms of patient education, because I think the key thing that we all look at is, there's an underserved patient population that's out there. They're not necessarily getting the relief they want or seeing the results they want with whatever they may be doing. Our goal, and I think with several other companies, when you actually take a look at the people that are actually on the ground interacting with these patients, interacting with these physicians, and even what these physicians will tell you is they just want the best option that works for that patient, in order to give that patient the best quality of life that they have. And I think that's kind of the mantra that we've always had, and also really the mantra that I believed in throughout my entire career in medical device.
Yeah, there's definitely like a moral, undertow to what you do compared to maybe what we do, that you are marketing your company, but not in a way that you're looking to gain more, patients because you want to have more patients. It's because that maybe it's what's best for those patients and their body. But if an alternative therapy is better suited, then it's great to hear that you work with other companies as well to recommend them. So it's super nice that you have sort of a moral compass in your role. So some of the questions that we have left, I'd like to know, in your opinion, given all your experience, what does the future of marketing look like? Obviously in your role or just in general, I'd be interested to understand what you think where it's heading.
I view marketing, the future of marketing is we need to be innovators, and we need to not be afraid to fail. We're at an inflection point right now when we take a look at the adoption of AI, machine learning, the adoption of new customer engagement models. When we take a look at content diversification, and then how do we actually tailor that content to different markets and segments, and creating those personas and profiles around that we truly have to really look outside the box, different avenues to really look at ways that we can innovate. And part of that is looking at some of the examples that you see in other industries that are more consumer related, where they have the opportunity to really push the envelope in ways that traditionally in healthcare we can't, because we're a lot more restricted by government guidelines. But looking at those models, it gives us an opportunity to see how can we adapt that and be that. So innovation, not being afraid to fail, and flexibility is really, those are the three things that I really see around like what is the future of marketing, specifically within my field. The biggest change that's coming, and I'm sure you've heard this multiple times over and over again, is how do we leverage AI? There's a flood of AI options now, beyond ChatGPT. That was kind of started the way when we take a look at that and language tools. But then now there's adoption of AI in terms of content creation, video creation. Even it's interesting. I had a conversation with a company a week ago that actually developed AI agents. So you can actually develop specific AI agents around your customer profiles and have those agents working together in order to help you create content or actually accelerate product innovation. depending upon the type of agents that you create. So there's some amazing things that I see out there. And so there's a lot of things I want to try. But in terms of all that, you also make sure that you're cost effective and able to show an ROI from a business standpoint. But yeah, no, I'm excited about it.
Amazing. So yeah, AI, I mean, I was looking, there's a company on LinkedIn, I saw that they did another round of funding today where you can create an avatar of yourself. And they, like, you speak, but they look like they're speaking for you. So you could be sitting anywhere and it's generating a person of you, which is, or like it answers, like AI BDRs that take early meetings, and they're not real people, but they can interact. It's amazing and also slightly terrifying about what's happening. So I guess as things are changing, is there a piece of advice that you had or heard coming up in your career in marketing that maybe you used to live by or you used to apply that maybe doesn't apply to modern marketing anymore? Obviously in the medical field, people don't innovate or evolve as fast because you guys are sort of segmented and, like you said, under government restrictions and HIPAA and all these things. But is there a piece of advice that maybe you used to live by that now you think isn't applicable anymore? And do you have a new piece of advice that you've heard that you think is more related to modern marketing?
One of the things, in terms of people who have mentored me, specifically within marketing, their advice was, you'll have two strategies that are tried, true, and tested, that you will always implement year in, year out, and then you try one or two more with, knowing that you may fail. I think the way I look at things now is I don't look for the tried and true tested strategies anymore. I think in order for us to be able to adapt and look at where the future is going, we need to be able to trust in our instincts in innovation, but also we also need to create a culture where it's okay to fail. I know I said it's okay to fail a few times, but I really do believe that, because without the failure you don't have the learnings, and then you can't move to the next stage in that sense. So I think that's one thing that I've really instilled in terms of the people I work with, the teams I manage, is when you come to the table with an idea, go full force that your idea is going to work. But if the idea doesn't work, understand why it doesn't work, and then we adapt and we move on. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You shouldn't let that make you afraid to do anything new or different. So I think that's really the advice and kind of the mantra that I live by as of right now. It's about creating that culture of openness, trust, and allowing people to innovate and express their ideas without fear of retribution. Because I mean, sometimes you hear horror stories out there from people about this, where they're literally afraid to do something different because they feel like it's going to come back to bite them. And I think that's one of the things that you saw the shift, I think, over the last couple of years in terms of how people are thinking and the type of interactions that they're doing. And I think we're going to continue to see that, hopefully. And I hope that just, and all that's going to do is lead to more innovation and creativity.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I saw something on LinkedIn the other day, and it was like, if your marketing team's ideas don't scare you a little, your marketing team aren't doing enough.
Exactly.
Like if you're a CEO and they're suggesting something that you're like, oh, that's a little bit too out of the bag there, that's what you should be looking for. You should be looking to push everything a little bit more. Amazing. So I guess, what advice, I know you were saying about your mentors, what advice would you give to someone else in marketing, someone starting out or maybe someone further on in the career? Obviously, don't be afraid to try new things and bring your ideas to the table. Is there any other advice that maybe you could share with us? Obviously, you're so successful in your role that someone else might benefit from.
The biggest piece of advice I can give to someone is be open-minded. I think one of the things that I tend to see is, people will come in with their with preconceived ideas on what they think is successful and what they think, and that they know the right path forward to succeed. I think that's the wrong attitude or approach to take. If, for me, when I have people come together, I want everyone to be open to listening to every single idea that's out there. I want them to be exploring and reading the various pieces of content are out there, or seeing different types of campaigns that are out there that are either working or failing, but keep that openness and that willingness to constantly learn. That's what's going to drive anyone forward, especially within this career or this field, so to speak. Because if we're not constantly learning, then we're failing ourselves.
Perfect. If you could tell us, I guess, one word that would summarize being a director of global marketing strategy, what would it be?
An innovator.
Thank you so much, Imran, for sitting with me for the last 30 minutes. So interesting to hear about it. And I've seen videos sort of online, and, I always get a bit emotional when you see these videos of people being like before and they're trying to eat, and then after they have the therapy, and I'm just like, it's so beautiful. And I'm anything in medical advancements, to me, I'm super interested in. So it was great to speak with you.